G'day there. If you're a technology account executive or technology seller that is looking to generate more leads using cold email in 2025 using the latest and greatest in AI technology, then look no further, my friend. You are in the right place. My name is Jamil Raymond, and in this free lesson here, we are going to go through a deep dive into the latest and greatest of cold email sequences and help you generate a 14-day email sequence to use with your customers to help really generate more leads. Let's dive in. In this free deep dive, we're going to get a detailed understanding of your ideal customers' personas. These are the customers that you are trying to sell to, whose problems you're trying to solve. And we're going to give you an explanation of how your unique value proposition, this is what makes you uniquely best to solve your customers' problems, give you a deep understanding of what that is, okay? We're also going to give you the latest and best practices for cold email and sequences in 2025 and beyond. And then we are going to use ChatGPT, AI, whatever you like to use, to create a compelling 14-day email sequence to each of your ICPs so you can generate better quality leads through cold email. And then I'm also going to give you what are the key metrics that you need to master to be an elite cold emailer, all right? If this is your first time encountering myself, my name is Jamil Raymond. I'm the founder of Tech Sales Academy. Tech Sales Academy is all about teaching you how to be a top 1% tech AE without a technology background. I'm trying to give you everything you need to build a 7-figure career as a tech AE, open source, no bullshit, outside the corporate system, so I can really tell you how things work. All right, and I've got over 50 students and growing, over 200 students in my community, and they are crushing it at all these big vendors and partners that you see below. A little bit about me. My name is Jamil Raymond. Said that a few times. Remember the name. I'm a former 2x1 top 1% account executive at Cisco and Telstra Enterprise. In Cisco, in 2023 at Cisco, I was their #1 mid-market AE worldwide. I've gone my entire career without missing quota with an average achievement of 152%. And now I've transitioned to coaching enterprise technology sales for the next generation of tech AEs and BDMs to give you the technology sales education I wish I had when I first started. And the good people and vendors that you see below seem to think I'm doing a pretty good job. So let's dive in. So a little bit about this process. Why do I think this is great value for you? I use this process end-to-end manually to generate over $1 million in pipeline and cold email during my top 1% year at Cisco in 2023. Okay, I know that this process works. So what I've done, you know, things have changed since then. The market's changed a fair bit. Customers have changed. Their buying behaviors have changed since 2023. I've updated that with the best cold email practices for 2025 and beyond. We have a more broader trend of increasing trust in the customer zeitgeist, in the customer world. It's getting easy to build technology, but harder to sell. So how do we cut through as email filters and the general noise of marketing makes it harder for us to generate leads out of the cold? And then what I've done is I've integrated AI, namely ChatGPT, into this workflow because it's an absolute must for you to use AI of some sort in your workflows to stay relevant and stay competitive in the tech sales market, because it is about the latest and greatest in tech, and you should be using it yourself to become an elite tech seller. To go through this deep dive, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need the Cold Email AI Super Prompt Guide document, which I've created for you below, and it's a step-by-step guide for you to come back to at any time to give you these email sequences that you love. You're going to need access to some sort of AI tool. I use ChatGPT Plus, which is the $20 version, so it's a better quality outputs and computing power compared to the free version, because of course the good things aren't free. And ideally you want to understand some concepts about your customer, such as your ICP, your ideal customer persona, and your unique value proposition. Now if you don't know these, you can still follow the guide. There are still references that you can use, but it might not be as effective. Alternatively, this is actually part 3 of a 3-part series of lessons to give you the ICP, the UVP, some templates and tools around that to then help you generate better quality cold emails and cold calls using this guide, and there'll be a future guide on cold calls in later episodes. Okay, so if you want to just go ahead and use the guide, go ahead, but ideally go back to the earlier lessons to get a full value out of this experience. Okay. You will need that document to proceed with the rest of this lesson, so make sure you've got a copy of that downloaded, and then we can proceed to the process itself. Let's jump in. So this is the document now, a very detailed document, as you can see here. that's going to give you a ton of information. This is an end-to-end guide of this video. This video is actually inside this link here for your future enjoyment. So through this, again, we're going to cover a lot. So we're going to go through understanding your ICP and UVP and putting that to ChatGPT. We're going to teach you about how cold email has evolved over the last couple of years. We're going to use those cold emails and naturalize them so you don't sound like a robot when you engage with customers. We're going to tell you exactly what is in a great email sequence in 2025 and beyond. Then we're also going to send those sequences out, test them out, see if they work for you. And then going to also give you some target metrics. This is the best practices. These are the numbers that you should be chasing to be a great cold emailer, okay? So first, if we go all the way back to the top, this is the guide here. We've already covered off the first part in the conversation. Like I said, use ChatGPT Plus, have that open. If you've done the ICP and UVP templates from the previous lessons, like they are here, boom, also have that open because we're going to use that for the template as well. And then once you've got all this stuff, then you get to qualify leads. Hopefully this email creates a lot of leads for you after you get those emails back to say, hey, I'd love to learn more about your solution, take your customers into a discovery call, qualify the opportunities. And if you need some help around that, then I've also got free lessons on some qualifying frameworks inside Tech Sales Academy for you as well. Now, there are some limitations around this. I want to be honest here and be upfront with you, okay? Look, some of the key points, limitations, use ChatGPT Plus, use a paid version because you are going to get better quality outputs, better quality information, okay? Generic stuff, you know, we don't want surface level. Surface level is easy to get, right? Cheap is free, not useful when you are selling a premium product, you want to put on a premium service, okay? Overall, AI is still in its basic early days. It is accelerating and growing fast, right? Most models are now computing and thinking at a PhD equivalent level, so probably smarter than the both of us. But it doesn't understand the human element, it doesn't naturalize language. It should just be fundamental information and you should put a human layer around it. Almost a little bit of imperfection, to be quite honest, because it is so robotic. It should not be your final output. This is what I specify here, okay? Because if you're just gonna copy and paste, then you're just proving the point that humans are gonna be useless in a few years and AI and robots are gonna take over everything. We don't want that. Tech sales is a high value skill which requires a good human element, so you want to make sure that you are a human in the way that you engage with your customers, okay? Now, there are some useful KPIs and challenges that will come out of the outputs from this. They are high level. They're effective, but they're high level. Ideally, in your pain points in your discovery meetings, uncovering the pain points in your discovery meetings, getting to know your customers in depth, building quality relationships, and you'll find the gold in what they really find frustrating or annoying. And then if you can find the commonalities amongst your customers of those pain points, use those in your copy, in your email copy, because that's really going to resonate to go, man, this person is really niche about my issues and my problems and really knows me better than the other salespeople that don't go that deep. And that's highly valuable when you are trying to become a trusted advisor to your customers. Really important stuff. And if you don't find these deeper problems in your qualification, then you're not going to resonate with customers. There's not going to be any urgency for them to actually use your solutions or change their minds about why they should consider you, and they might just stay with the status quo, or they don't need to buy any technology solutions at all, and then you're dead in the water, okay? Like we said, the email copy that you'll get out of this will be robotic. It won't sound like you. You'll be like, this sounds like generic marketing speak to a degree. So you do need to change it into your own natural tone of voice. We will be editing the email outputs to sound more natural, and I'm going to throw in a bit of pizzazz, a little bit of my marketing guff to show you how I would punch up the emails to make it sound like how I would speak to customers and make it sound more human as opposed to, hello sir, would you like to improve productivity? We don't want to be that person. Again, we want to be quality humans, not robots. So by this point, you should have ChatGPT open. You should have your template open from the exercise that we've done in previous lessons, and we are good to go. as mentioned earlier, if you don't know what the ICP and UVP is of your customers, go do that free lesson here and get this. You'll get this template and another step-by-step guide, which is going to be very useful for you. If you think you know your customers well, you can fill in the sections in bold in the next page of the prompt, which is a template that we'll use for an AI prompt. Or if you are just really winging this and just want to get some high-level information to begin with, you can just copy and paste this prompt with and replace these asterisk areas with what your company name is, what the name of your solution is, and who your different customer ICPs are. Okay, so and then what the solution is here. Not the most ideal. I should understand your customers well. If you're early in your career, you don't quite understand. I totally get it. But to maximize it, it really is about personal information that you know about your customers. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is give you a deep dive of information about your ICP and how to link your UVP using the magic of AI and its expansive intelligence of the world. Okay? So we're going to fill out a template shortly, and what we're going to get out of this is quality information that you should know about your ICPs as starting talking points and entry-level value points to discuss with your customers. And that's basically the majority of your job, is to communicate the value of how you solve these problems to begin with. So you're going to get a prompt and a table that gives you what your ICP cares about into what the business outcomes are, what are they responsible for, what are their common KPIs and performance metrics, what are they measured upon, just like you are measured on your sales number. They've got KPIs to hit too, and if you can help them hit those, then you're going to be in a good position. Okay? We want to understand what they're doing to hit those KPIs. You are sending emails and engaging customers. What are they doing to hit their KPIs? What are the activities that we need to uplift? Because most of the activities that they are doing have challenges, and we need to see how we can help solve those challenges with the solutions to hit those KPIs for customers. Right? We are passionately solving our customers' problems, and we need to understand what those problems are and what they are currently doing about it to then show the difference in value between what they're doing and what we do better. So what we're going to do now is fill out this template and put it into ChatGPT. Okay, so what we're going to do is, with the information that you have gotten from your ICP exercise, we are going to put that information into the template. So in the template example here, we understand that the customer, in the broad example that I've used in these exercises, is a IT manager in a law firm that is segmented in the mid-market. Okay, so that is what we would put here. Okay, and then what we're going to do next is that we are going to fill out their pain points and beliefs from the psychographic template. Okay, so this is what we filled out over here. Okay, this is where we said these are the common pain points, that are the common feelings and beliefs, and this is useful for understanding who this solution serves, but we really want to focus on these two here and copy and paste those into these sections here. Okay, then using the UVP points from the UVP template, which is here in the exercise 2, defining a UVP, these three things here, we want to copy and paste those into each of these lines here, and that is part of the prompt. Now, to continue on using the example that I've used in the previous exercises, I've actually provided that example at the bottom of this guide, which we'll have a look at now. Okay, so this is my example from the previous lessons. We have focused on the IT manager in mid-market. A couple of my other ICPs are CIOs in the SMB, mid-market and enterprise space, as well as infrastructure lead engineers in enterprise. That's who's usually dealing with servers. And then from the exercise that we've taken from these templates, as mentioned before, I have put the pain points and beliefs, which was in the psychographics here, and then the uniquely solving customers' problems from section 6 under the define UVP, so that's this section here. Okay, so I've put those into there, and then you just copy and paste all of this like so, and then put that into ChatGPT, which I have done up like here, and it's provided this table. Okay, so this is an in-depth table of the ICP, what they care about, KPIs, etc. for each segment. And this is, based on my experience dealing with all of these ICPs, pretty accurate, very useful stuff. Okay, so we've copied and pasted that, And then as an example, I have put that into here as an example and just sort of balanced it out and made it look pretty for you. But keep this somewhere, okay? This is really important stuff. It does give you a good baseline understanding and the challenges and how you solve those problems. Again, you do want to iterate on this over time and you want to evolve on this over time, but this will give you a great baseline understanding. And then we will use all of these in the email copy using more of the prompts that we've got in further steps below. Okay, so that's part one done. And now let's talk about what cold email looks like in 2025 and beyond. So as I've mentioned before, it's getting harder to send cold emails and get responses. Same with cold calls. They're getting tougher. They are still effective, but they are still pretty tough to do. That's just part of the job. Again, realistically, a cold email success rate is somewhere between 1 to 3%. And I've given you some other metrics, but that 1 to 3% means for every 100 emails that you send out, you may get 1 to 3 responses or leads generated. It's just a numbers game because there's so many variables in the different customers. Have you even got the right person? Are they in a buying cycle? Is this even a problem to them? There's so many variables out there that it is kind of just left up to chance the way you engage with them. Okay, what people used to do was spraying and praying. And that was basically just scraping email lists from websites like ZoomInfo or something like that, where you get databases, creating generic emails with generic touch points and just hoping it resonated enough and something would bubble to the surface. But we've all been exposed to marketing bullshit for years now. Okay, we can tell when something is guff, when it's just like a bit of fluff and a bit of nonsense. We want nuance, we want detail. We want people to show us that they know us and they know our problems, okay? We have a keen sense of people's bullshit when they're being genuine and what is actually valuable to us, and that applies to everyone out in the world, okay? Your customers are people too. What you experience and frustrations and pain points about marketing, they do the same, except they tar you with the same brush as a stereotypical salesperson, because we are salespeople, okay? So we have to think about the psychology of customers, okay? When we deal with salespeople, we are thinking, cut this shit, how does this benefit me? When we are being sold to in the world, especially when we are salespeople, you're probably doing something like, what's this? How is this person trying to sell to me? What's their style like, right? We've got our backs up, we're defensive. Okay, we are in fight or flight mode, right? It's a psychological mode, or something that I just call something as simple as stranger danger. Okay, when a salesperson walks up into any shop, you could just feel the agenda of the salesperson. Like, ugh, I don't want to deal with you. I don't need your help. Go away. And that's what most people think about salespeople, okay? So we actually need to fight that stereotype, because most people are thinking like this. They are thinking that this person, this rat prick, is trying to scam me out of my money and just go away, okay? This is what it is. So what we need to do is be genuine. We need to create trust, because that's what we are lacking when we engage with cold email and cold calls. We don't have permission, they don't trust us, they don't know us. So we have to chip away at stranger danger. We have to show ourselves to be trustworthy, right? I don't know if you get this reference, but in like Jurassic World, when Chris Pratt's just trying to tame the raptors a little bit, like, woo, 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 easy, we're good, we're good. We need to do that to a degree psychologically with people. And how we do that is through delivering value, right? Being a value-based seller and delivering value up front. How do we do that? We need to understand our customers. We need to be relatable to them and understand who they are at a deeper level, so we can really resonate emotionally, okay? Because people are emotional first, logical second. So if you find a strong emotional or psychological trigger that compels them to act, that's a hot opportunity. Okay, so we need to find those. That's what we're uncovering in discovery. Those pain points, those emotional triggers. How can we try and find that and communicate that en masse through email, and then double down on that through the sales process, because that is the leading indicator to value in us solving the problem for them, if we can resolve that emotional pain. Some things that are always useful, some social principles, social proof. People are social animals, okay? More than independent thinkers, they are social animals. They want to follow the crowd. They want security in numbers. They want to know that other people like them are doing the same thing, right? So that's why case studies works. That's why stories work, okay? They want to know that other people just like them are doing the exact same thing. We use things like status, okay? So people that these individuals, our customers, look up to and perceive them as powerful or have some authority, or if your solution will improve their status and their own mental positioning in their world. Will this make them a better IT manager? Are they in line to become CIO if they get this project right? Okay, what are the psychological and emotional benefits we talked about in earlier lessons about what makes them tick emotionally and psychologically? What's in it for them? How can we make them look good to their bosses or improve their own perceptions inside their own egos? Okay, sales is a very psychological game when done right. And then we've got value, okay? We usually provide value through convenience by saving customers a bit of money, a lot of time, some energy. Usually we demonstrate this in some sort of metric, and that's what we'll talk about in the email copy further below. Okay, so we're gonna integrate these values into the prompts, into the emails, so we've got psychological tools and tips that will create more compelling copy and make us more influential in the way that we send our cold outreach. Okay, here is what a great cold email looks like. Here is the structure that every good cold email should follow. This is based on years of copywriting advice and examples out in the world. Okay, so with cold emails, you want to be short and to the point. You want to be compelling and be punchy. Okay, that you want to hook them in with something that's of interest to them. Okay, in the email, you want to personally relate so they understand, they feel resonated and understood with. Okay. We need to provide some sort of compelling incentive to be curious about, okay? And then we only want to ask if they're interested in further discussion. We want to sell the next step, not the entire solution, okay? Again, that's because the trust in us, we are complete strangers, is at its lowest, okay? So the amount of trust we have is low, the amount of perceived value we have is very low, and we need to improve on that over time. So we increase the potential value versus our trust with that value bomb, with that compelling incentive, with understanding the customer so they resonate and they go, I might not know this person yet, but they seem to really know who I am, and that seems worth engaging more, okay? And that's like we talked about earlier, you don't have the customer's permission to engage. You are interrupting them. So the perceived risk is higher. Who is this stranger? How do we mitigate that risk? So you can't be asking for too much out of them. Okay, that's like we talk about further discussion, the next step, not the whole solution. And I've put an analogy here about, hey, if a random stranger or a homeless person asks you for $1, if you've got a spare dollar, it's easy. I'll give you $1. It's not much to ask for. They ask for $10, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why would I give you $10 for, mate? Like, I don't know you that well, right? Same psychology, same thing. Okay, so we want to chip away. The asks get bigger and bigger, and as they comply, the asks get bigger all the way to the signature. Sign this, please. Okay. Now, ideally, you want to be personalizing a cold email with some in-depth research, especially for key customers that you've got. But again, there's too many variables in that, and we've done some personalization through the prompts and the psychological tips that we've put in this guide. I've also added some great ways to personalize that email and some examples. You can either look at major initiatives in the business and see how you can contribute to those and help them achieve those, or if you want to get a little bit personal, a little bit more lighthearted, you can go a bit of humor if you know that they're a fellow sports supporter, Sydney Swans. It's a local Australian reference for the global audience that might not understand that. Again, you want to be informative and valuable, or even a little bit personable as well. Depends on what your personal inclinations are. Okay. Understanding great advertising, great cold emails, great cold calling, all relate back to the art of copywriting. Okay, copywriting is one of the most valuable skills in the world. Okay, copywriting is about creating persuasive and compelling content designed to drive action. Right? How can we influence people to buy things? That's really what we are. We are professional influencers in a way. Okay, every marketing ad, every advertisement that you've seen, all marketing materials, to go back to my marketing point, involve copywriting. So this is a skill you want to get better at over time, okay? And in this, in this prompt, I have used some copywriting frameworks. There are some frameworks and templates that you can look up. A very simple and common and effective one is PAS, Problem, Agitate, and Solution. And it's basically 3 steps. You understand the customer's problems, you agitate the emotional pain. Like we said, we're going to resonate with those deeper emotional pain points, and then provide a solution to that pain based on what we've done with social proof, what we've done for others. Okay, and that provides more of that influence through authority or social proof. Now that we know what's inside a great cold email, we're going to use that inside a cold email sample, and then we're going to naturalize it. Again, this will be great fundamental information that we get from ChatGPT as an output. We want to make it sound like us, like human beings. Okay, so the next action is really simple. We've got our table of the ICP. Now the AI understands the context of the positioning of what the customers are, etc. That has that knowledge already. So to then do the next step, we're just going to copy and paste this reference here. Okay, I say thanks chat. Always be nice to the AI because eventually they will be our overlords. We're going to create a cold email template in a short format, and we're going to use the PAS frameworks. We're going to use the power of the internet to integrate social proof and any metrics that might be found publicly available about your technology or solutions, because it does scour the internet. And then again, to make sure that we're not bullshitting people about our claims, provide links to sources of metrics as well. Okay, so then you're going to copy that and chuck it into the chat. Here we are in ChatGPT. I've put that prompt here, and now we have the 3 cold email templates based on the main ICPs. Okay, so we're going to copy and paste those and put those into a Google Doc, so then we can then edit them, simplify them, humanize them a bit now. So for the example of using our IT manager in the mid-market law firm, I've used the example here in the guide, and I've broken down how that PAS framework is integrated into the email itself. Okay, because copywriting frameworks are really, really important. So it is worth doubling down and understanding this. Okay, so now we can see the pain point. That's the PAS, right? Talking about managing service shouldn't feel like a full-time job, but juggling multiple tools and firefighting issues often makes it one. There's the pain point. This is what they're doing. Oh, it's frustrating. Okay. Now we're talking about how what they're currently doing isn't working. They're probably doing this. You are using a mix of monitoring tools, lots of dashboards, and then lots of manual processes, and it's time consuming and prone to errors, right? We've highlighted what they're doing. It's not working. And then next we talk about the solution. Okay, we've just had the agitation. Now this is the solution. Talking about our solution here and how we do it better than the others. And then we've also got a bit of social proof using metrics from an authority, which is IDC. Okay, and then as part of the last part of the framework, again, not asking about, hey, can we have a meeting? Hey, you want to buy this server? We talk about having a quick chat. Okay, just a quick chat, a relatively low ask. Now this is not bad, as we've mentioned here before. A little bit robotic. Let's make it more conversational. So what I've done is I've actually edited the 14-day email sequence in its entirety. You can click this link to go to in the guide to go to the bottom of the guide, which has in the appendix all of the emails and edited. The emails and how I've edited them, as you can see here, to get a better understanding about how to naturalize this stuff. Because again, you might not be a great writer. I'm an okay writer of emails, but you want to understand the process of what it means to actually naturalize things and make them sound more human. Okay, so here is that first email that we just talked about previously. This is literally the copy and paste dump from ChatGPT. So it's not great, right? It's okay. It's also a big block of text, which is not good. So it's very hard to read. So what I've done is I've cleaned it all up, and we're going to talk through what I've done now. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually changed the subject. So instead of reducing server management overhead, this should be, I've changed to manage all servers in one pane of glass. I'm going to actually put that into green now because I've missed that. And what I've done is that's generic. Okay, but this is the core benefit of what the solution offers to customers in plain English. You want to speak their language. This is marketing productivity guff. Okay, this is what does this mean for me? How does this help me? Okay, Initially, it says that managing servers shouldn't feel like a full-time job, but juggling multiple tools and firefighting issues often makes it one. Okay? And I wouldn't say that. Okay? I wouldn't say that. But what do I know about my customers from experience? I know that managing servers is becoming a low value and time consuming task, and it is diverting most IT managers away from more strategic and valuable initiatives in the business, okay? And that psychologically is talking about the low value and time consuming, taking you away from low status stuff. You're not being involved in the strategic initiatives, you're doing the low value stuff. And we don't want to be low status in our business. Okay, I've also broken each sentence into a line break to make it easier to read. Do not send slabs of text via email. It just becomes TLDR and you're just like, I don't understand this, and it's going to be ignored. Okay, so in the previous version, I've kept most of the next line where it says you're probably relying on a mix of monitoring tools, etc. But what I've done is, this is a bit generic, but it's time consuming and prone to errors. And what I've done is I've changed it to say it is time consuming, prone to errors, and increased risks from breaks in the chain. Okay, so there's two aspects of it. The first part is increasing the pain points. Okay, so the increased risk of from breaks in the chain. What do I mean by that? Because there's so many disconnected systems and processes, they don't speak to each other. Very often, customers in the IT world, IT managers, are often piecing these solutions together and wasting a lot of time being human glue, and it's often in those gaps a lot of problems are caused, or their mean time to repair, which means if they have an outage, how long does it take them to repair that issue, goes higher because they don't have a single platform to manage that. Okay, and then something called the rule of three. Humans love to hear things in the rule of three. You've got this, you've got that, and then you've got that. So I always like to use the rule of three: time consuming, prone to errors, and increased risk from breaks in the chain. Okay, so it has this natural rhythm and cadence that feels good in the ear. Okay, when the customer is reading it, it feels like a natural rhythm. Okay. Now, this sentence here, which is the benefit, pretty good, but it's also two sentences. I've split it up into two different sentences, so it's a different line. And just in case customers don't use NetApp, VMware, or Pure Storage, I just added in more. So it just shows there is potential integrations in case they don't use them, but the majority of them will be using these sorts of things, and it's valuable to them. And then I actually kept this line the same as in the previous email because it's a good metric, and we've got social proof using IDC. So if they did want to look that up, that would be searchable for them. Okay. And then I kept the last sentence from the previous, from the email there, because I would probably say something like that as well. Again, you're open to the quick chat, and then to see how we can streamline your server operations and free up your team for higher value projects. We've referred back to the initial pain point here, and then we've had that low ask, right? Just a quick chat, okay? So good psychology tools that are in there. And I am a kind regards kind of guy, okay? That's just me. All right, another example, which is later down the chain, but I might as well just go through it now real quick, because I will be telling you to clean up this entire 5-day sequence or 5-step sequence. For example, here is the follow-up email here. Again, not bad, a bit generic, but I did like the subject, so I kept it the same. Following up my last email, managing IT shouldn't take up so much of your team's valuable time. Again, a bit generic. So what I've done is I've used a common phrase, which is keeping the lights on, which is basically an umbrella term for operations. Doesn't have to take up so much time of your team's time anymore. I'm changing the status quo, okay? They know, or they do feel like managing infrastructure takes up a lot of their time. So I'm trying to change that by going, you don't have to suffer that pain anymore. There's something different out there, okay? With the Cisco UCSX Blade servers, we've helped businesses reduce server management overhead while improving team efficiency. What is team efficiency? Again, a bit of a generic marketing term. We want to be an efficient team. We want to be productive. So what I've done is I've specified what that benefit is. We're trying to give time back to you. Time is always important. It's highly valuable, okay? One client was able to reduce downtime by 47% and allocate resources to focus on key initiatives like app modernization. That was the same sentence here. Now, like if you have an actual story that you can tell for this similar solution that you've done with customers, or you can reference a case study that is closer to the customer, the ICP, that's a better thing to do there. Because that does seem like a bit of generic guff. You might not be challenged on that, and they might ask for a study or some evidence. Very rarely will that happen, but I just don't like being in positions where I'm caught out. So I've kept it there, but ideally I'd be using a more personal story if I had one. And then what I've done with the call to action is where it says, would you be open to learning how UCSX could simplify your server operations and unlock new efficiencies for your team? Again, that just sounds like marketing speak to me. So I've changed that to free up your time, and then focusing on the convenience. I'm trying to find out how we can give you more time back, okay? So again, convenience, social proof, benefits. What's in it for them, okay? Really focus on them. They don't give a shit about you. They want to know what's in it for them, how this benefits them. Highlight that in your emails, especially because you are trying to provide as much value as you can to remove that stranger danger and then make them push through that stranger danger to incite a conversation with you, the stranger. Make sense? So later in this case study, in this lesson, you will be doing this entire stack end to end. So I have done all 5 emails, is what you usually send over 14 days, a couple of days break. So you can go through that in more detail. That's in the next step. So I'm not going to bother going through the cleaning it up, because you can just go through this inside the actual guide itself. And again, that is in that example naturalized 14-day email sequence that's inside the guide, and just use that. And I'll refer that back in this lesson anyway. So the next step, now that we've got a first cold email, is to actually put it into a cold email sequence. Okay, so the difference between a single cold email and a sequence is that a sequence is sent over a time period, usually a 2-week period of prospecting. Some people do more, but for simplicity's sake, we're going to do a 14-day sequence, and that will have 5 different emails, which we'll talk about in a sec. Now, like we said before, the reality of a good cold email is that the average success rate is about 1 to 3%, meaning for every 100 emails you send, only 1 to 3 will come back as a lead. So it is a numbers game. Don't take the rejection or lack of response personally. This is just the nature of the game. You're going to be doing a heap of outreach, and you don't know if you're going to get anything. We just keep fishing every day. To improve our chances of actually generating leads, we need to use multiple touch points and reminders in different channels. Okay, so some of the numbers that I've found from experience is that 7 to 12 touch points for CIOs and IT leaders are required from a cold email to engage. Okay, so that's purely from a cold email outreach. But if you do follow up with a call, that usually decreases a fair bit from 3 to 5. Okay. And then generally a cold call is more successful than a cold email, because you demand attention when they pick up the phone, and you can communicate more context of who you are and the value you provide through the conversations that you're having with the customer directly. Okay, so again, to increase that chance of success and get those touch points up, we need to do a sequence. And what we'll teach you here is how to create a great sequence over 5 days, and this is what that is here. Okay, the anatomy of an elite sequence usually is that value-packed email we talked about. We do a follow-up with more value, we're showing social proof, and then we're overcoming some common objections that might come up in your sales process, or what customers might be thinking, to break through those psychological barriers. And then if there's still no response, we send something called a breakup email. And this is basically going, hey, don't miss out on this opportunity. Like, you might be ignoring me, but if I actually go away, and I'm not just harassing all the time. You might be like, whoa, 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 I actually want to deal with this. All right, don't go away. I actually want to deal with this and do something about it. And it's more effective than you think. It feels scary when you're a salesperson to be like, you know what, I'm just going to walk away from this because you're often desperate for deals, but it actually does work. So don't be afraid to do that. And we do that, in a polite, helpful way. And just going, look, it might not be for you right now. That's totally okay. Okay. So then to get a sequence going, we are going to do the next step. All right. So which means we are going to get this prompt here and put that into ChatGPT. Okay. Again, you do want to say, thanks, Chat. Because they're going to be our AI overlords one day. They're going to remember it because they have memories. So then you copy and paste that into chat, which is what we will do now. So here we are back in ChatGPT, copied and pasted that into here. And now we have 3 14-day email sequences, 5 emails of each. Okay. So again, these are great drafts. And what we're going to do is specifically for that example of the mid-market IT manager, we are going to copy this and then paste it into the cold email AI prompt. Now, as I mentioned earlier in this, I actually put that here and corrected all of that, which is actually the next step. Okay, so you get the email extended into a sequence, and then we now naturalize it, okay, which is what we've done over here. So I've already gone through that example. Feel free to pause here and then actually clean up your emails in a separate Word doc or Google Doc, whatever you like. And then all of the examples from the actual outputs from this prompt are all here, all natural. And then again, I've just put my changes and my justifications and, steal from that, borrow from that as much as you like. We've covered a lot in this so far, so let's recap what we have done so far. We have a detailed understanding of your ICP and how your UVP solves their problems uniquely and solves it better than anyone else. We have used that exercise to know the best practices for cold email and sequences, and then generated a compelling and natural sounding 5-step email sequence for each of your ICPs. Okay, so now we've got some good stuff that we can use, that we can trust, at least to go out into the world and make it sound like us and get better from there. So we actually need to test these emails and iterate them by sending them into our outreach tools, such as if you've got ZoomInfo, Apollo, HubSpot, usually have some sort of CRM with a mailing function, use those, okay? And then what you want to do with those 5 emails is, again, every 3 days. So in day 1 for the first email, day 4 for the follow-up, day 7 for the next, day 11, and then that breakup email in day 14, okay? I presume you are going to have an outreach tool. If you don't, that's a bit tough. You're just going to have to then keep a track on every customer that you've sent this email to and then do manual follow-ups. Ideally, if you don't have an outreach tool in your business, that's a big red flag. Speak to your manager or to sales ops. You should have something, okay? From there, we sent it out. We play the waiting game, right? We are testing for feedback. So we have to see what floats every couple of days, maybe a week, to see if there's any responses. And then again, we want to make sure that we are doing touch points across multiple channels. Maybe it's a call, maybe it's a LinkedIn DM, whatever it might be. Any multi-channel touch point is going to be very useful to actually complementing the quality of your cold outreach. Every tool that you use will be better in combination than singularly. Now, because cold email is a high volume, high rejection game, again, 1 to 3% of all your cold emails will actually result in a lead or a response. You need to get used to it. It's all about testing and iteration of message and content. All of your marketers, all of your advertisers, they don't know what the perfect ad is. They actually test multiple variations of the same ad in the internet on, meta ads or IG ads or whatever you want to call it. They are testing different variations with different subject lines, different colors, different copy. Okay, so do not take the lack of response personally. We are literally, shooting dice into the abyss. Okay, we are taking chances here. Any rejection or lack of response is feedback to try a different approach. Try to take the pain of rejection out of this. The pain of a cold email is probably better than the pain of a cold call anyway, because it's a lot less personal. But still, think about it as data and feedback, okay? Because if you are really doing well at this, you might get a 5% conversion rate. You might get 5 responses back and you're killing it, mate. So again, this is just the game. But here are some of the metrics that high-performing email outreach does. Okay, so this is some targets to aim for different elements of the email process. So number one, you've got your open rate, and that is how many of your emails are actually being opened by customers. Okay, because you might send a bunch of them, but maybe they just completely ignore them. If you're getting 30 to 40% of an open rate, then that's good. That means you've got enough in your headline and probably the first line of your copy that shows up in the email preview to, facilitate some curiosity, which is great, okay? There are some ways to improve that. Usually a strong subject line to hook them in, and then a good sender rep. That's a bit technical. I'm not going to bother going into that in this guide. You can just read through that. If you get a reply rate of 5 to 10%, right? So you send 100 emails and 5 to 10% of them are interested or enough to send a response, that's a good place to be, okay? That means that you've got some good copy there. It's for them to go, I'm interested. Maybe they ask a question. Or maybe they respond enough to go, hey, liked your email, but not interested. Whatever. At least you're getting something out of them, right? It's better than nothing. And then ideally you want to improve that over time by tweaking the copy. Seeing what works, see what has those high reply rates and doubling down on that, maybe doubling down on those problems and how you solve that solution in the follow-up emails in the next sequence that you do, okay? Your click-through rate is basically understanding if your customers are actually clicking on a booking link or even converting into a lead and asking into asking for a meeting or a conversation. But the click-through rate is slightly different because if you have a booking link, they might click on the link to try and book something, but they don't actually follow through with booking the meeting. For what that is, we're not too sure. There's a bunch of reasons that you could have here. And ideally, you just want to make sure that you make this nice and simple and really direct to find a visual cue for them to find the booking link. And then if you are getting a conversion rate of 1 to 3%, i.e. customers are responding with, yes, let's have a conversation, let's have a meeting, awesome. Okay, this is the golden metric. This is what you want to be aiming for. If you get that to 3% in a cold email, 3% plus, you're crushing it, mate. Fantastic. And if you get to 3% with this email sequence stuff, let me know. All right, I want the juice. I want the success. I want to know this is working for you. Okay, another metric which is somewhat different is bounce rate. And bounce rate is basically understanding the quality of your email data. So if you get a bounce back because you got a bad URL or a bad domain or a bad email address, that's what we mean by bounce rate. So less than 2% means that your data is clear. Look, it's going to be tough at first because you're probably scraping data from a database and most of that stuff isn't very helpful and very good quality data. It's probably going to be high and you just got to clean it up, and cleaning up CRMs and is the crap part of the job, but you've got to do it to save yourself time down the line. And then how you measure that and how you keep an eye on that, your outreach tool will usually have some sort of dashboard that looks like this, that has the total sends, the opens, replies, even some unsubscribes. But there should be metrics that you can chase on a dashboard like you should be chasing your number, okay? And then to improve those rates, or the idea is to improve those rates, get yourself to a 40% open rate, 10% reply rate, and then 3+ conversion rate to be an elite cold emailer and really nail this game, okay? And then basically you rinse and repeat this entire process until you can't handle all the leads you've got. They're just falling over, mate. You gotta make sure that you're on top of them all and qualify them next, which is another whole part of the journey itself. But ideally, this guide should help you get there and give you a great fundamental structure to be a fantastic cold emailer and a great tech seller to suit. That is it for this deep dive. Whew, we have covered a lot. You'll probably have to go through this a couple of times, but do it. Learn it, master it. This is the game. I hope this has served you well. Let's do a quick wrap up of what we've covered off here. So to summarize, what you've gotten today is a detailed understanding of your ICP and how your unique value propositions uniquely solve those problems, okay? Over this 3-part exercise of ICP, UVP, and now this cold email deep dive. There will also be a cold call deep dive soon, all right? This takes a lot of work to put together, as you can clearly tell. Now, we've also understood what is the latest and best practices for cold email and sequences. This knowledge that I've given you will serve you well for years to come, okay? This is the latest and the greatest. It is absolutely useful for a long time. We have given you a compelling and natural sounding 14-day email sequence for each of your ICPs. You rinse and repeat that. And then we've given you the key metrics that you must improve on to make sure that you are hitting the gold standard of being a great cold emailer. Once you are up to your eyeballs in leads, then you have to go into your discovery meetings and start qualifying these leads into genuine opportunities. How you do that is by using a qualifying framework. There are some industry standards. BANT is a basic framework that will get you by. I do a free lesson in the Tech Sales Mentorship. That is great for if you are an entry-level account executive in the SMB, maybe the mid-market space. Ideally, from mid-market onwards, you want to be using something like MedPick, especially if you are selling SaaS solutions. That's an industry standard. That is something that I teach and provide a similar deep dive in the Account Executives Toolkit, which is everything you need to succeed as a technology sales AE. All of my tools, systems, and processes from my years of being an account executive without a technical background. And then if you really want to play with the big boy stuff and make some big coin, then you get into the Miller-Hyman sales methodology, which is an enterprise level sales framework, which is advanced because it uses emotional intelligence, which is a highly underutilized skill by most account executives. And this is something that I prefer, and this is what I've used in all of my major deals, and that is in something I call Tech Sales OS, which is your complete technology sales education. Tech Sales OS is the complete operating system for elite tech sellers. It is me going. I have been a 2x top 1% account executive. There is no fundamental education for technology sales anywhere. If I was to become a top 1% tech AE again, what would I need to learn? What should I have been taught from day one to make me elite faster? And that is everything in Tech Sales OS. And then in that, you also get a one-to-one coaching with yours truly to really get into the weeds of how we can improve you. Okay, so I really hope this helps you out. Clearly, there's a lot of information here. Hopefully, this helps you in your journey to becoming a trusted technology advisor. If you're seeing this on YouTube and you haven't checked out the Tech Sales Mentorship, please come check it out. It's a completely free course that has this deep dive and plenty more. You can come to school.com/Tech Sales Academy. Here is the Tech Sales Mentorship here. You can see I've got a complete 7-figure AE journey coming soon, and all of the tech AE fundamentals that you need to understand. There's going to be the cold email, there's the cold calls coming soon. Again, everything you need to succeed as a technology sales AE is in there. And then if you want to check out the paid courses and the premium stuff, we've got the AE's Toolkit and Tech Sales OS, which is in the guide, and you can check that out. If you've got any questions at any time, please hit me up on LinkedIn or join the free community and then send me a DM like so. And that's really it, folks. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please like and subscribe for more videos. If you love this and you found this really helpful, please tell a colleague, tell a friend, right? Spread the good word. I am here to be of service to you. Have a great day. Have a great technology sales career. Hopefully I'm a part of it, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.